Last but not least, here I am. Hello, everybody. Hello, Bryce. Hello, Thea. How are you girls?
Good, thank you.
Very good. How are
Cool.
you guys doing? I know you're freezing. How else is it?
Jeez, it's really, and I feel like a stuck record here speaking about the cold, but my word, we genuinely have had a chillsome winter, that's for sure. And I hope everyone is warm and cozy and all of these things. So, welcome to Solutions with where are we now?
Magdalene.
Uh, key code five of that Sophia code. So if you guys have got your Sophia codes handy, let's get a cracking. Where are we now? Oh, yeah, let
We
me
have
just check.
Magdalene. I think we have Magdalene left, and then Kuan Yin is after Magdalene, I believe, which is just get ready for the Kleenex with Kuan Yin, because that's been that was the most for me anyway. My first time going through this, I literally when I was recording it for my channel had to kept having to stop because I was crying so hard that my makeup was literally just running down my face. But so Kuan Yin is very powerful. They're all powerful, but there's something very strong in Kuan Yin. And then we have White Buffalo Woman, and then after that we go into the dragons, the Sophia dragons, and then we're done with the Sophia code. So I hope that you guys watching have had such. I know a lot of people have done the Sophia code watching many times. It's something you do really over and over and over again to remind you, to give you that oomph that you need to get through this time. So
Yeah, and I think, every time you listen to it, you hear something different,
Yeah.
or, that you didn't hear before, or it kind of resonates differently as well. So, yeah, I think it's cool.
and this is fun because we're gonna see. I believe it's in this key code in this work where we see Magdalene shapeshift. I believe. I hope I'm saying. I hope I'm not misspeaking. I hope that's not in another work. But we do get to see more about a side of Magdalene in this key code that we don't typically see from her, so that this is fun. And I do want to remind people too, I think I said this with Mother Mary, and whatever your opinion is on the life of Yeshua, that's your opinion. But for me personally, after reading all the missing books of the Bible, I am now under the understanding that he was never crucified. But I do want to remind people, and Mr. Fox has talked about this with the law of one channeling and the Cassiopeian channeling. When people are channeling these higher ascended masters, the message is having to be filtered through different densities and then through the conduit, right? So there can be a lot that is actually lost in translation. And there's also a lot of confirmation biased. And so if you are truly of the belief that Yeshua was crucified, then that's what you're going to hear in your channeling. And so I just wanted to clear that up because they do. I believe she does talk about his. I think in this one, it might have been the Magdalene manuscript, but in this one, I think there is a conversation about possibly about his crucifixion. Which, of course, for me, after reading the missing books of the Bible, I personally don't believe that happened, because the true God, doesn't require human sacrifice. That's the Mithra story. But however, when you are really conditioned to believe something, you're gonna believe it in your channeling. As an orb just went by, believe it in your channeling. I don't know if you guys saw that. It went right behind me. So anyway, but she's Magdalene. I've always said Magdalene's a sassy broad. That's what I think we all love about Miss Magdalene, is that she is very sassy and she is very strong. And so we do get to see that coming from her very strongly in the Sophia code. Just a very strong-willed woman. And again, I think that's what one of the things a lot of us love about her so much is that she is that strong-willed. She's not a meek little wallflower. She's very strong-willed and sassy, and you know I love a
Yeah,
good sassy broad. So
Yeah.
indeed. The way it should be, right?
my niece is sassy, and I freaking love it. I know it drives my sister crazy, but I'm like, that's her best quality. She is sassy. and
Yeah.
don't take that from her. It's a beautiful quality to have. And so I think that's what we all have a little bit of that Magdalene inside of us, right? All of us. We all have a little bit of that spunk inside of us. So
Cool. Well, do you want to take it, Bryce?
sure. So key code 5. So if you're following along in the book, guys, this is chapter 10. It starts on page 191. We'll read She of 1,000 Angels. My oracular transmission awakens you as a vehicle of awakening for others. You are an angel on earth, and I am right here by your side, supporting your prayer to become an essential leader in the global movement for the divine feminine Christ. So, Mary Magdalene is a mentor for your spiritual revolution. Magdalene speaks. I am Magdalene, known as She of 1,000 Angels in the Sophia Code cosmology. My Sophia embodiment title reveals my oversoul's commitment to shine the greatest angelic light in the darkest of places. I work with every order of angelic guides to reconcile the suffering of this world and others. Whenever I am, or wherever I am invoked as an overlighting presence, I am joined by billions of accompanying angels. My divine feminine Christ embodiment of Sophia rocked the ancient world in which I served. In my most recent lifetime, I came as the lightning of revolutionary change for an entire generation of women brutally subjugated to the status of being property. My mother was a wise woman who privately maintained her worship of the divine feminine according to the lineage of her grandmothers. During her pregnancy, she received multiple messages from seers who predicted my birth as a returning prophet. As a young child, my parents recognized that I was innately gifted for the channeling and healing arts, coupled with sharp intelligence that I wielded as a sword of truth. I was born as an awakened being with a psychic development of many lifetimes already activated within my body. As an acutely sensitive empath, I would relay vivid details to my parents of events happening in other locations that they would confirm back to me. So she was astral projecting. She could, what's that called? Astral. She could see. My mother would often witness me softly soothing myself in recognizable languages from ancient civilizations. At other times, she would find me in our gardens, sitting stone stilled while in a trance, witnessing visions of humanity's destiny. Although I was uniquely raised with wealth, status, and a secret education that honored the divine feminine, the first part of my life was spent cloistered far away from interacting with most people and any public spaces. And so I want to note that quickly for those who may be new to the Sophia Code, who are just hearing this for the first time. So in the church's story of Magdalene, she was a prostitute. But the truth of Magdalene is quite different. She was born to very, very, very powerful parents, very wealthy parents. She herself was educated. And this is kind of alluded to in the Bible, even though in the Bible we've been taught to believe she was a prostitute. There's nothing in the Bible to actually indicate that. That was created by one of the popes, that myth. But in the Bible, you do see that there are certain references to Magdalene being different from other women in the sense that she was educated. She could read and write. And the sense that she also was able to fund a lot of their travels. Magdalene herself was able to pay for it. And that is because she came from an extremely wealthy family. And there's many paintings of her from the ancient world where she was welcome into many courts to speak directly with emperors and rulers of certain areas as a female. And that was simply just basically not really done in those days unless you were a female of high status. And so Magdalene also came from very, very, very powerful families. I think through my research, I think I know who her father was, who is a person actually mentioned in the Bible, but I'm not 100% sure. It's just through my research. And she was, so I just wanted to point that out for anybody who's following along who might be confused by that because you've been taught to believe she was a prostitute. No. Quite the opposite. All right. So she goes on to say, a female of any age, especially a young woman courageous enough to assert her boundaries, could be My parents encouraged me to cultivate strong inner practices of meditation and self mastery before regularly interacting with the insane civilization I was born to liberate. Her parents were basically like, our child is very sassy and so we got to make sure she knows how to control that before she goes out in public and gets herself killed. I love that. The wealth of my family afforded me options unavailable to most girls of my time. Along with extensive home studies led by my mother, I traveled each year with my father to secretly train at mystery school temples in Mesopotamia, Egypt, and India. Of these journeys, I would meet other young women who were afforded these same rare opportunities. I often felt so lonely in my unique lifestyle that I would fill the chalice of my heart with these precious memories of spending time with others my own age, and I would drink deeply from these memories in my time back home. As a maturing young girl, home would often feel like a cage after returning from my travels. But I took solace by meditating in our secluded gardens for hours. I would practice everything that I learned in the mystery schools, cultivating an authentic relationship with myself. On the inner planes, I would meet with my mystery school friends, my ascended master mentors, and countless beings of light from a wide spectrum of angelic orders. I received many messages and visions that I would one day meet far more of my soul family, a community of individuals that were as gifted as I was. Further, the many angels that I would engage with in meditation would often share that I had come to shine a great diamond light to the hearts of many suffering people. Searching my heart, I always felt the truth in these messages. My heart ached as I was witnessed the brutal suffering most of my people were surviving, both from the Roman occupation as well from the self-righteous Pharisees of our own people's ruling class. There would be many times that I would physically feel my throat close up, but as I empathetically felt yet other women being raped and beaten into submission or even killed. The Roman method of public torture for population control would enrage me behind my cloistered walls. My mother knew the agony of my true feelings, for this was the undeniable anger for her as well. So her mother, too, I want to reiterate that. So she's saying, too, in this, if you guys are picking up her feminine line, her mother's line were also educated women. So that gives you a huge clue as to who her family really was in the Essene community, or the priest and priestess of Isis community. The mother was also very well educated. So she directed my heart to continually take refuge in my secret practices with Sekhmet, Kalima, Inanna, and the wrathful aspects of Green Tara to cast out the darkness and invoke clearings, healings, and reconciliation for those that I prayed for. As my mother would watch me pray, a great light would go out from my body to join in the angelic ranks that I would invoke for the healing of others. As I grew into a beautiful young woman of marriageable age, I was afforded another extremely rare opportunity due to the wealth of my family. I was given the right to inherit my mother's fortune passed through her grandmother's lineage, as well as the right to choose if marriage was appropriate for me. My father promised my mother that I would never be forced into arranged marriage, and that I would always be supported in my spiritual training regardless of my marital status. In all of Palestine, I was one of a handful of women afforded such protection and personal authority. I happily opted out of a young marriage and chose to continue my mystery school training. I also yearned to experience my spiritual studies by living in a community of allies and friends. My father had often spoke of our family relations to the Mount Carmel Mystery School, and my curiosity yearned to live beyond the walls of my safe childhood compound. I arrived at Mount Carmel at a useful age for their curriculum of initiates. At an unusual age for their curriculum of initiates, yet I committed to my new life with the passion of a young woman embracing her independence. I also continued to travel with my father, returning every year to my mystery school training. In Egypt, I deepened as an initiate in Isis's lineage of ceremonial magic and oracle activism, tracking moon cycle empowerments with the rhythms of my body. I mastered tantric breathing practices that circulated my sexual energy into higher states of consciousness that cultivated the precision of my already activated psychic gifts. Although my Kundalini training was rigorously demanding, I thrived in the wings of Isis's secret magi teachings as I grew in strength and stature. I also received deeper initiations in the hidden teachings of Sekhmet and Hathor. Magdalene prepares for her mission. When I would return to the Essene monastic life of Mount Carmel, my richly ornated personal expression would be exchanged for the simple robes of an initiate. However, my simple robes could not diminish the radiant and cultivated goddess embodiment that I had become in myself. And I want to say something here too. My friend Cindy, who you've met, Chanti, here in Atlanta, she does a lot of studying. She has many for a very long time into the Magdalene line. And we're talking about the Magdalene line of women healers, like the Magdalene grouping. And they were, for the priest and priestesshood of Isis, something that she brought up, which I think that Magdalene will also talk about here. We're looking at possibly a Lyran descent from the galactic, and they're the holders of what they call the Christ consciousness. And the females in the priest and priesthood of Isis, so the priestesses, one of their main jobs was to go to war against demons. And we're going to see this literally and figuratively. And so when she talks about the healing gifts, she's talking about helping people with their own shadow work, but we're also going to see that literally too in this battle that she started in these gifts that she has. And I just wanted to point that out. So for those who are still programmed to think that Isis is bad, the feminine line of the Isis priestess were literally battling up against the darkest corners of this world. And so I just wanted to point that out. My face shone as an angel, and my dark eyes flashed with the secrets of the desert. With long, muscular arms, my body would seem to dance as Kali upon Shiva without a single movement. And if you guys are familiar with Kali and the Hindu pantheon, that what she's referring to, Kali is also very much a force to be reckoned with. She comes and cuts the heads off of the demons, right? So she's very much, that's kind of the same energy there, with different names. I was a riveting enigma for most of the monastery. Only a few masters, teachers leading our humble community could see how sophisticated the mission was that I was preparing for. Learning to live in a community was far different experience than I had anticipated. It required a daily surrendering to social constructs that were foreign to my privileged upbringing. So that means girl had to clean up after herself. I just thought that was funny. I'm going to read that again because she was so rich. She probably had people like bathing her, dressing her, and she's like, I have to clean up after myself. This is foreign to me. Because I think that's hysterical. So let me read that again just so we can see her humor as she kind of makes fun of herself here. Learning to live in a community was a far different experience than I had anticipated. It required a daily surrendering to social constructs that were foreign to my privileged upbringing. Women and men were treated equally, yet there were rigorous roles that I had to adhere to. Girl had to learn how to dust. She had to learn how to do some laundry. I love that. She's going to take a moment to make fun of herself for a moment. She's like, what is this thing called cleaning? I don't understand. Where's the maid? So I opted to spend as much time as I was permitted to directly mentor with Mother Mary as my primary teacher, for we shared a similar background in our Egyptian mystery school training. We would often sit together in her rose garden. Mary would remind me that I was a whole rose in the presence of both my petals and thorns, and never to feel ashamed of my thorns. I love that. You're a whole rose. You're both the beautiful part and you're the thorns, and don't ever be ashamed of those thorns. As an overlighting mentor for my development, Mary could see that I was a natural spiritual revolutionary longing to serve my divine purpose. She also knew that it would require a sophisticated set of skills in order for me to safely speak my truth as a public female leader. These skills included mastering the high magi arts, oracle or oration, and embodying an invincible divine love. My personal light would have to be bright enough to blind those who would harm me and cast a path for those terrified of my health. I also needed to master the assertion of my personal sovereignty as both a woman and as a teacher within the interdependent collaborative efforts of my community working together as the one body of Sophia Christ. Mother Mary took me under her wing as her own daughter to initiate my awareness into these highly sophisticated nuances of divine and feminine Christ leadership. Mary's own radical embodiment of fierce divine love opened my heart far beyond what I thought was possible. Her overlighting presence has tempered my wrathful proclivity for the intensity of Shekmet with the beauty way teachings of Hathor. My oracle relationship with Kali Ma was balanced by Mary's teacher for abating in the heart from green and white Tara. Mary also introduced me to one of her most important allies, a guiding light master called Kuan Yin, who assists her in the daily tasks of ministry as a spiritual mother for our Mount Carmel community. Kuan Yin began to appearing to me as well, revealing her direct teachings on how to harness the power of my anger into an all-consuming compassion that would render my enemies helpless. I became completely immersed in my relationship with myself, my mentor Mary, as well as our overlighting team of ascended master guides and angels. My longing for a distant future fell away without much notice of its whereabouts. I found myself feeling the subtle pure of happiness that naturally arose from the satisfaction of my lioness heart connected to her pride, hunting our divine potential together in a very present moment. My radiant womanhood became deeply grounded as I matured into an eloquent spiritual teacher and a highly refined oracle. In this journey of self-mastery, I came to understand my lifelong inner drive for spiritual training. It was essential that a divine feminine Christ teacher embodiment capable of leading both men and women would be available to support the spiritual revolution that would ignite in Palestine with the return of Mary's son, Jesus or Yeshua. The container of his public ministry would create the opportunity and physical protection to freely walk as a sovereign woman, offering my direct teachings in collaboration with his own. And I do want to say as well, we've talked about this on Aquarius on the other channel. So for those who are also new to this, the Jesus fish that you see on people's cars that says Jesus inside and it's a fish, that actually comes from the original symbol of the teachings, the ministry of Magdalene and Yeshua. And it wasn't a fish. It was a Vesica Pisces. And you can actually look that up online. And a Vesica Pisces represents Magdalene. And so it shows you from the very beginning of their teachings that Magdalene was very much his equal in their teachings, if not even a little bit more superior to, not superior, but a little bit more powerful than
advanced.
Yeah, more advanced. There you go. And in the Magdalene manuscript, she talks about how she was the one that actually woke him up. She was his teacher. And so for those who are modern day Christians, go back and look at the Jesus fish and understand that's coming from the Vesica Pisces, which was the symbol of Magdalene. Other than my extraordinary father and a few living masters that I had trained with, my experience of men as spiritual allies had been relatively disappointing. We can relate, can't we, ladies? It was relatively disappointing. My diamond faceted mind and acute psychic perception intimidated even the high-level male teachers of our Essene order. I think we can all relate to that as well, ladies. Out of the endearing respect for my mentor, I wanted to believe that Mother Mary shared with me about her son, but I withheld my full belief in his ability to lead us until finally meeting him in person. So she thought Mother Mary was just a little bit biased towards her son. She, in the back of her head, girl was a little jaded. She was like, yeah, all men are the same, whatever. Until she met him. I love that. That's so human of her, right? That's what I love about her. She's so human.
Yeah.
Deciding who Jesus was for myself was an important step in opening my heart to follow his lead and take my opportunity to teach by his side. I was a wealthy, independent woman with extraordinary education, and I did not have to answer this call to the embodiment of the divine feminine Christ. As a supporting teacher in his movement, I needed to intuitively experience his own embodiment of both the divine masculine and the divine feminine Christ energies, to trust that serving in alignment with his ministry was the best use of my gifts and life force. And before we get to the next section that I hand over, I also want to remind people that the original prophecy that people talk about, the Jewish prophecy about the coming of a Messiah, was that there were going to be two people. There were going to be two teachers that were going to come at one time to start this revolution, a feminine and a masculine, which is Magdalene and Yahshua. So Magdalene was very much a part of that prophecy as well. And that what they did was they changed it. Instead of two people coming at one time, it was one person coming back again. So that totally, which keeps people hooked into a cult versus the liberation of teaching. So everything she's saying is lining up with the original prophecy, that they were two equally powerful teachers that were going to help change a feminine and masculine in the course of spiritual revolution. And I'll hand this over to the next person, the next section.
Thea, do you want to go?
Yes, let me go. The doors opened for Magdalene's public ministry. The night before I met Jesus, he appeared to me in a vivid, lucid dream. In the dream, I was embodied with ferocity of Sekhmet, hunting down demons that prey on women in Jerusalem. Catching the demons in my mouth, I would maul and tear them apart. I would then return to the woman, licking her wounds clean, and push her back up on her feet with a broad lioness head. In the dream, this happened 3 times with 3 different women. I prepared to depart from the third woman, leaving her in the care of my supporting angelic guard. My lioness body began to shift back into the human form, which just with just my blood-stained lion face remaining. As I turned to leave, there stood Jesus before me. His smile felt familiar to me. It was as through part of my own soul smiling back at me. I felt my whiskers and sharp fangs receded back into my human face, and I stepped forward to greet him as a woman honored by his smile for his great works. He lightly touched my third eye in a familiar moonlight, and he whispered, "It is safe to follow me. I know you. I know how great your gifts will liberate the suffering of many. I am here to prepare the way for you to walk this journey with me side by side in our shared mission. Your passion of Sophia will not be dishonored by following me. I am here to create safety for the collective gift of our whole family of light to rise as one body. Allow me to make the way ahead easier for your wisdom to be shared with those who need." I woke up from the dream just as the sun was rising. As the lucid landscape receded, I heard the roars of the checkmate's lioness bride announcing a new chapter in my life. The following day, I met Jesus in person at a wedding that Mother Mary had asked me to attend with her. Jesus embodied such ease with himself and everyone around him. I found myself watching his every move in a secret awe. Our conversations with one another seemed to occur in multiple languages simultaneously and without many words at all. Although Mary formally introduced us, we spoke telepathically to one another for the most of the wedding, enjoying the companionship of each other's highly refined intuitive gifts. His Christed embodiment was immediately recognizable to me, and yet I enjoyed how casually he allowed himself to be accessed by everyone in the room. His soul carried the scent of India, Tibet, and Egypt from his own mystery school training. I physically tracked the similar and complementary codes from my multiple ascended cultures that we shared between us, which created a highly harmonic resonance for the wedding guests. So they were just vibing together, and everyone was just enjoying their vibe, falling in
Well,
love with each
and we
other.
just read through the whole shape shifting thing. She thought it was a dream, but she was shape shifting. And Sekhmet obviously is like the cat, the lion. And if you guys are familiar with the Bible, they often refer to the Christ as what? A lion, the lion.
Mm.
So that's your indication too. So not all shapeshifters are bad, and that also again is what links back to the Lyran lineage of the lion. That is the actual. They say they call the Lion of Judah in the Bible, but it's actually of the Lyrans. So anyway, yeah, but they were like the two people at the well, in the Magdalene manuscript, she says that was the wedding where he turned water into wine was their wedding, is what she says in the Magdalene manuscript that people laugh about. She's like, where is your wedding? And she goes, it's in the Bible, it's there. That was our wedding. So yeah, they were definitely two peas of the same pod. You know, she met
Yeah,
her match with him.
yeah. In our orbit around one another, I experienced multiple flashes of our future memories in which we were speaking to thousands of spiritual seekers in large fields and hidden temples. Although we outwardly participated in the wedding festivities, Jesus and I became inwardly celebrated to the amplification of our powers in the physical presence of one another. I watched Mother Mary's playful amusement at her children finally meeting. Our shared resonance felt extraordinary, and I could feel in my heart how easy it was to reach the people that I wanted to serve if I choose to work by his side. My heart softened in gratitude, and I floated in a sublime peace for most of that evening. When I heard that Jesus had physically shifted the quantum structure of water into more wine for the wedding guests, I felt a lightning recognizing shoot through my body as a sign from a higher self. With the first demonstration of Jesus' sovereign power, I knew that everything I was preparing to offer in my embodiment of the divine feminist Christ would begin now, seeding a divine feminine blueprint for your future. Upon, upon his return to Palestine, Jesus revealed that the coordinates of his future timeline to several close allies, including Mother Mary and myself. The knowledge of our brief opportunity to work together create a renewed focus within me for fulfilling my purpose and maximizing my personal practice. We lived an entire lifetime over 3 years fulfilling prophecies and commanding miracles for the liberation of thousands. Time completely dissolved as we focused upon maximizing every available moment we had in our public ministry together before Jesus demonstration of the crucifixion and his physical ascension. Almost immediately we began training and initiating male and female disciples to prepare for the flood of seekers that would hear of Jesus' miraculous healing abilities. We had a core inner circle of devotees that would assist us in training an outer circle of many more initiates. The combined quantum energy field that Jesus and I created in our highly refined work together magnetized people to join our movement from around the world, from around the country, and also from other parts of the world. I used my high tantric training to alchemize large amounts of internal life force, as well as transforming the full spectrum of outer energies that would magnetize to our ministry in, into an abundance of useful, positive, creative energy of our spiritual movement. My tantric practices were also consecrated to building an energetic uh, momentum for Jesus' message to reach the wave of a global network. Eventually, the crowd that we drew to receive our teachings across Palestine required enormous fields to accommodate the increased number of people that were coming to be healed and initiated. My father's network of help of wealthy landowners became quite useful for orchestrating locations that we could safely teach from our privately owned property. At my request, my mother also gave me a large portion of my inheritance prior to her earthly departure. I contributed these resources to feeding, funding, and the coordination of many logistic requirements for such large gatherings to take place. Along with Mother Mary, Jesus became my greatest friend and spiritual ally. At our largest gatherings, we would often sit side by side, yet at a designed distance, co-directing the collective conscious of the large crowds. Our individual embodiments were so magnetic that those who were meant to receive healing, work, empowerment, and teachings differently from we from me would line up before me. Those ready to receive the empowerment directly from Jesus would line up before him. Our disciples and initiates would encircle us and as needed. The sight of a female teacher sitting in a lotus posture in an equal status with highly respected male teachers was unheard of in our society. Yet Jesus' multidimensional presence as the divine masculine force of nature, he would enfold the masses in his own golden white light of Sophia Christ consciousness. This would temporarily assure, elevate, and accelerate the crowd's awareness beyond judgment, so that they could clearly see and access my offerings beyond gender. This is really energy work they're doing the whole time, like just raising the vibration. Beautiful. My
Yeah.
auric field would also expand as well to clear and soften the hearts of the people to Jesus' work. I felt an incredible loyalty to Jesus, which inspired me to physically clear my lower level entities and demonic energies attached to the suffering seekers attending our gatherings before they even arrive. In my meditations, the order of angels at my command would be sent forward to honor and prepare the way for his arrival at the gathering. I also use the diamond light body of my higher self to elevate and amplify the crowd's awareness of the many dimensional realities that Jesus and I were teaching about. When I would offer teachings of healing empowerment, a great momentum of Sophia's Holy Spirit would descend through me, and her immaculate Shikana, Shikana light would overflow from the chalice of my heart. Women would often lay down to rest their weary souls around me, drinking deeply from the overflowing Holy Spirit transmission pouring through me. I was wise as a serpent and gentle as a dove, as I carefully listened to and follow my higher self constant instruction on which divine qualities of my key code transmission that I was to embody in each present moment. I also performed exorcisms that extracted entities and cellular imprints of several trauma and abuse from both women and men. Some exorcisms required my physical involvement, others simply happened as the seeker locked their eyes with my own. My eyes would transport the seeker through an instantaneous series of initiations that would cleanse the awareness to let go of the demons housed within their bodies. Most of my mission was primarily focused on the healing and empowerment and entire population of women who believed it was their duty to be abused, used, and discarded at the will of another. Yet there were many men that also surrendered to my care. Many people would often pass out after receiving a healing, empowerment, or exorcism from me. This occurrence created the phenomenon of a temporary amnesia within them as to whether the healing happened or not, and by whom. I did not need credit for my great works of Sophia pouring through me, but I did need to remain unhindered in my purpose. This forgetfulness would often act as a safety measure for my own continued involvement with Jesus' ministry. Those who would go to speak of a healing facilitated by me would often only remember Jesus' face, and in this I remained relatively unseen by those who would harm me for being seen. That explains a bit of the Bible as well. Um,
Yeah.
I also spent many hours assisting Jesus' healing work in any way that I could. For many women that needed divine masculine healing, initiated directly from Jesus, I became an associated safe face that invited them to trust him and come closer to what he was offering in their hearts. I was deeply moved by his divine love and great compassion for heartbreak of women, witnessing his unconditional acceptance, supportive presence, and incredible generous healing activations also helped painful memories from other lifetimes within my own heart. I never felt that I was beneath him or in servitude to Jesus in any way. His integrity was immaculate, and his devoted acts for reconciling the divine feminine went above and beyond every day. Our spiritual alliances encoded humanity's collective consciousness with the true template of the reconciliation of the divine masculine and divine feminine Christ energies. Our constant focus upon service and uninterrupted work reveal the power of how men and women can access their divinity together, rising above the cultural survival strategy to serve a mighty good in wholeness and in integrity with one another. We were both so filled with the Holy Spirit pouring through us that our daily experiences of working with one another created a blueprint for the future golden age that is upon you now. Both Jesus and I received many visitors from the future. They would assure us that the seeds we were sowing together for the awakening of humanity would one day blossom a radical empowerment, a new generation of light workers the earth from the earth's ascension. We were sowing seeds of consciousness from a spiritual revolution that would remain underground until the conditions were ripe for the rose of the Sophia of Christ's teachings to be revealed once again. We both had many visions of the time that you are living in now. In my visions, I saw that the sophisticated Margie mystery school techniques that we use to safely offer our public ministry together as a man and a woman would one day no longer be needed. I also witnessed that after Jesus' ascension, much of what we were teaching would be misunderstood and misused for centuries to come. Following Jesus' ascension, Mother Mary and I fled to France, channeling in the refuge of caves. I prophesied that my name would be maligned and hidden from the entire dark age. I also witnessed that my reputation would not be restored until thousands of years later when the voices of women and hers a new golden age would reach into the cellular memory of remember the truth of my divine feminine Christ embodiment. Yes, I was seeing you as one of those future light workers that would call out to receive my support as a ascended master mentor for this golden age. I saw the face of countless women and men who would remember my work as divine feminine Christ embodiment and seek me by name as an essential spiritual guide for the current spiritual revolution that is upon you now. Thank you for seeing me as I am, which allows me to support you in your own great mission ahead. You want to take it from here, Shanti?
Cool. I want to check the time. I think we don't have time for the key codes, so there's just basically the one section.
Yeah.
A mentor for your angelic embodiment. So you see, we are calling out to one another across the ages to continue in this great work of the returning divine feminine Christ consciousness. The power to heal, the power to envision, the power to increase, the power to reveal, and the power to command miracles lives within you. I embodied these angelic powers, regardless of all circumstances, to become a guiding light mentor for you. Jesus, myself, and our many allies set into motion a movement that provided a foundational blueprint for your generation to rise up in radical spiritual leadership. We fulfilled certain prophecies of a dark age so that you may rise as the phoenix children, fulfilling your own prophecies to declare the sovereign divinity of humanity's origin. As Jesus spoke that even greater works will be accomplished than these, he was speaking to your own sovereign potential to command miracles and awaken humanity to its own ability of creating heaven on earth. Many people often invoke my name for support and assistance to heal their relationship with sexuality and to be released from their debilitating effects of trauma upon the body. As you are drawn to my overlighting presence as an ascended master mentor, you will discover that I also activate many divine qualities within you and are connected to advocacy, public speaking, and oracular teaching. I'm especially drawn to working with women and men who seek to radically embody every facet of their true selves without apology. I help you get acclimated. Sorry, I help you get acclimated with asserting your personal power as a spiritual leader and how to remain in integrity with yourself and your divine purpose, regardless of all circumstances. As a spiritual guide for self mastery, my overlighting presence activates your awareness to the many orders of angels that are still at your service, that are at your service, both within you and within all of creation. Further, as she of 1,000 angels, my key code 5 transmission activates the angelic code stored within your divine genome to be expressed as an essential aspect of your humanity. I assist your awareness to soften and integrate to the holy angelic powers within you, which you are here to embody as a living angel on earth. My key code 5 transmission also reveals an ancient Shekinah lineage of Magi and oracular high priestesses known throughout the cosmos as the Order of the Magdalene. When you invoke my overlighting presence to guide you, I am also joined by the Sacred Order of Magdalenes, who are women that have incarnated as revolutionary angels on earth and in other star systems for millennia. For example, Joan of Arc is a Magdalene high priestess in our order. As an overlighting mentor to your ascension journey, I guide your human awareness in how to accept and love yourself as an angel on earth. The angelic light that shines within you is here to dissolve the darkness of ignorance, greed, fear, and annihilation through your radiant embodiment of invincible divine love. Allow me to offer you the unconditional support of my entire lineage as you boldly step forward upon your own heroic path to embody a diamond light that devours all darkness, blighting the precious heart of humanity. My initiates associate me with the divine feminine water and blood mystery rituals of the Holy Chalice, many of which originate from Isis Magi teachings. In my Magdalene lineage, the chalice is a powerful symbol that represents your body being the temple for the Holy Spirit. If you feel magnetized to me as a mentor, you will feel drawn to working with the chalice mysteries and their associated symbolism. When you commit to mentoring with me, I transmit these Sophia Magdalene Mystery School teachings to you as an initiate. I am here to guide you in how to purify and consecrate your heart as a chalice for the overflowing healing power of your own higher self's diamond light body. You are an angel on earth, and I'm right here by your side, supporting your prayer to be an essential leader in this divine feminine Christ movement. There you have it, everybody. As we say in Afrikaans, fluit fluit my stories uit.
What
Which
is
is
that?
direct translation is whistle, whistle, my story is over.
Ah,
But
That's why Afrikaans is such a lovely language because honestly, you can say things in Afrikaans and it sounds like the worst swear word, but it really isn't a swear word at all. You know, it's just like saying something like donder. Donder is thunder. It's actually Afrikaans for thunder. But when you go, oh, donder, Donut is like a cuss word. It's like, oh, damn, or shit, or something like that, But it's not really, but it's you use it for that. So Afrikaans is a lovely language. You can kind of mix and match anything with it. It's a bit of English, a bit of Dutch, a bit of German, a bit of Flemish.
Yeah.
Lots of Flemish, actually. I don't know where the Flemish came in, but it's actually easier for me if I listen to people speak in Flemish to understand them than if I'm even listening to people speak in Dutch. Dutch and Flemish to me are the easiest. German, but also remember I was engaged to an Austrian, so I learned to speak German as well. But it's not as easy. You'll catch some things in German, but not a
German's
lot.
a lot harder to hear. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's very. There's a lot of like ominous aggression in the German language that is harder to hear if you're not used to speaking it or hearing it.
Yeah. It's very guttural, like lots of
Yeah, yep.
Afrikaans too. That's why you can just say so many things in Afrikaans. And it sounds like you're really swearing at the person, but it's more your energy swearing at them than the words.
Well, like we say in the South, when we want to tell someone they're a dumbass, we just say "bless your heart."
Yeah.
Sounds nice. That's our energy saying you're a dumbass. You're stupid. Bless. Oh, you voted for Biden. Bless your heart. Bless your sweet. If someone in the South wants to tell you you've gained weight, they just say, "Well, you're looking mighty healthy." That means you got fat.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll just
Southerner comes up and says, "You're looking mighty healthy. It's time to go to the gym. It's time to watch your waistline."
you kind of read between the lines. Yeah, you get to understand the lingo, right? Interesting.
Yeah, they're savage.
Yeah.
Savage.
Yay. Okay. Well, that was cool. I enjoyed that, I must say, and I
Yeah.
hope you guys, well, you ladies. I think there's just ladies in the chat. I hope you enjoyed it too. So we shall catch you next week again. I do believe, right?
For the key code.
And we will continue with the initiations then of key code. Cool. Okay, guys and girls, I send you much, 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 much love. Is there anything else, Bryce, you want to say, Thea, just before we say goodbye?
You want to do your own research, look into these mystery schools that Magdalene is talking about. I covered a few of them on my channel, which we can always talk about too on another day if you guys want to. But they were all run by women, these mystery schools, which is fascinating. They were all run by women, and most of them used plant medicine, like peyote
Yeah, I
or
believe that.
ayahuasca. Yeah, to help
Yeah, I
you.
believe that.
Yeah, so it's very fascinating. So if you're watching right now or are not familiar with these mystery schools she's speaking about, you can do a lot of research, and it's very fascinating. And then when the Catholic Church came into existence, they destroyed a lot of these temples where they worked. So, and a lot of them, the women were running these mystery schools. So, so I would suggest for anybody watching, do your own research into this. It's very fascinating, this stuff.
It is fascinating.
It is.
Okay, guys, take good care. Have a beautiful week. And I don't see you tomorrow. It's Thursday, but I'll see you on Friday with Kerry Saint, and then again with the drop in with Ara. Okie dokes, take it easy. Like, share, subscribe, please. I think this is really important information as well. It's always giving people different understandings, different perspectives. So, yeah. God bless you all. Take good care. Ciao, guys.